Hello again, Tony here, back on my channel once more, this time on a Wednesday slot. So for those who do keep up with the release calendar, tomorrow will mark the release of Genesis Impactors, and with it, the introduction of 3 new archetypes for me to build and profile. But until then, I'd figure I spend this Wednesday opening up a box of Phantom Rage to give a fond farewell to the set. I'm going to pop this set open, check out what I get, and depending on what I open, I get a chance to give my impressions of this set ad hoc, and potentially talk about some of the archetypes that you see here that I haven't had a chance to profile. Now, in comparison to the last set, I'd say that Phantom Rage produced much more interesting playable deck options compared to Rise of the Duelists. Where Rise of the Duelists introduced Dogmatica and Gaia, Phantom Rage introduced Dual Avatar, Tri-Brigade, support for Prank Kids, support for Phantom Knights, Mutants, as well as Virtual Worlds. And as such, Phantom Rage produces a lot more playable options compared to Rise of the Duelists. Inversely, however, I'd say that Rise of the Duelists produced much more playable cards and structurally sound decks relative to Phantom Rage. While the cards in Rise of the Duelists were very much self-sufficient, with Dogmatica being an extremely meta-competitive archetype, and Gaia itself being rather well completed, a lot of the archetypes released in Phantom Rage were almost semi-complete. Cards like in Tri-Brigade and Dual Avatar feel like the deck can do a lot more, but they're missing pieces to do so. And these are some of the things I think make Phantom Rage a lot less interesting set compared to Rise of the Duelists, on top of things like not having staples like triple tactical talents and forbidden droplets. And these are some of the things I do want to discuss as I get through this box opening. Anyway, I've drawn on enough. Without a further ado, let's get into the box opening. Alright, popping off the plastic here, let's get into this box opening. This part will be a little ad-libbed, unfortunately, so you're not going to hear my general structural arguments as I usually do, but bear with me on this one. Okay, opening up the box, I'd like to say that Phantom Rage continues to be one of my favorite sets, just because they release support for Phantom Knights, which is one of my favorite decks. So let's start with the first pack. As you know, most of the cards in Phantom Rage and the box itself are kind of stacked, so depending on what secret I get here, I know where the secret's going to be on the next set. But we have cards like Mutant Cry, UA Man of the Match. Oh right, they made support for UAs. Never got to explore that, but purely because I think UAs are one of those archetypes that kind of need a little more. We have Genonator Traverser. Okay, this card is interesting. When this card first came out, they said this card was a gem monster, and I legitimately almost thought that this would be support for Gem Knights. But they did change the name in the TCG, which I assume is because the OCG just got the translation wrong. So unfortunately, no gem deck there. Mute expansion, Virtual Beast Juju. Okay, I do actually have a virtual world deck in the mix right now, but I'm trying to figure out how to make this differently, so we'll get into that another time. We have Rookie for Hire, we have Jack in Hand, UA Player Manager, and Tri-Brigade Rugal the Silver. And this, okay, Tri-Brigades here is actually something a little interesting that I'm going to divert right now to talk about. Now, one of the archetypes I did want to profile for Phantom Rage was a pure Tri-Brigade deck, to go along with the pure Dogmatica profile I did a while back. But despite that, I found that through repeated testing that the Tri-Brigade deck had a few issues. For one, a lot of the cards are rather incomplete despite the insane amount of consistency that this deck has. Now, you'd think that an archetype with so much consistency in cards like Tenki, their own Airborne Assault, their own Nerval, their own Fractal, as well as their own Tenki-esque card would be really decent, but as I found through testing, this deck kind of doesn't go the full mile. For example, Fractal here allows me to discard this card from my hand to send one Tri-Brigade monster from the deck to the graveyard, which in this case, I can send a Nerval to search a Tri-Brigade while setting up my graveyard for a Tri-Brigade play. Unfortunately, that single Fractal card at the moment doesn't actually generate enough resources in the grave to actually access your Link 4 boss monster, and that's a little unfortunate. Furthermore, your Link monsters don't generally help with extension either. While Blossom here can be actually really strong in the fact that it puts an additional body on the field, you actually don't play enough Tri-Brigade monsters, or there just doesn't exist enough Tri-Brigade monsters at the moment for you to special summon another Tri-Brigade off its effect most of the time. Likewise, you have Silver Shell here, which can bring back a resource from the grave, but the problem is it does it on its opponent's turn where you can't extend with this card. And while a card like Shurarig is actually really strong for its removal and banish effect, the problem with Shurarig here is that you just can't access it effectively enough without playing other archetypes. And that's really unfortunate. I personally like to build pure archetypes because I think it accents the deck itself. But if it has to be mixed with another archetype, I almost feel like I'd be playing the other archetype purely and it would do better that way. Alright, moving back into the opening, let's go on to the other side and see what we can get. Alright, the next pack here is going to have 1 Dual Avatar Defeating Evil, something I will talk about later, 1 Xyz Import, actually a decent card for Xyz decks if it didn't require you to play Xyz monsters, 1 Mutant GB88, 1 Mutant Cry, 1 Raid Raptor Strangulanius. They made support for Raid Raptors here, but it's weird where they just didn't make it all Raid Raptor support. We have 1 Awakening Possessed Ranryu, 1 Sting Greaves, 1 Charge in Dark World, and 1 Mutant Fusion. Nothing interesting here. Let's move on. Next pack here, going on to this side again. We have 1 Gluttonous Reptolfin Grethus. I think this is a Dino Fish support card, but it didn't really work out. 1 Masama the Fairy Dragon, 1 Heal Eagle, 1 GG, 1 Rock Band Geno Guitar. I actually thought this card would be useful at Emancipator, but I still haven't fully had a chance to test this yet. 1 Charge of the Dark World, 1 Mutant Fusion, 1 Clash, and 1 GG. So far, nothing so interesting. Moving on to the other side of this set, let's see what we get. We have 1 Virtual World Jaja, haha, 1 Geonator Traverser, 1 Libero Spiker, 1 UA Man of the Match, 1 Tri-Brigade Karas, 1 Nerval, this is the tanky card I was talking about for Tri-Brigade, 1 Mutant Fusion, and 1 Rookie for Hire. Still nothing interesting. I wonder when we're going to hit that secret. Moving on, let's keep going. We have 1 more Fairy Dragon, 1 Heal Eagle, the Oath, the Conjurer, the first Ultra ST46. I've already done a Mutant deck profile, so I think you already know my thoughts on this, but honestly, I feel like this deck actually has so much options. I thought about playing things like Giant Rex and like Pill in this deck just to see what I would do, but at this point, I'm just waiting for new support. Clash, GG, and Penguin Brave. For those who actually wanted me to build a Penguin deck, someone talk to me about that. No. I just can't do a Penguin deck. Not enough Penguins for that. Alright, what else do we have here? Moving on to this side, we have 1 Jaja, 1 Dual Contract, 1 Conjurer, 1 Xyz Import, and the other Ultra is the World Phoenix. This card here is actually just really strong. For 2 rank 6s, this is essentially graveyard and field removal, so I think going forward, this might be one of your premier rank 6s. We have 1 Lily, Clash, 1 Ur-8, and Awakening Possessed Ranryu. Alright, so nothing exorbitant just yet, but I think we're probably nearing the secrets eventually. We have the Pretinies, the Tactical Trapper. This card's actually interesting because it helps trap decks, and I'm just trying to find a way to actually make use of this in conjunction with something like Trap Check. Where Dogmaticism, this is actually a card that helps pure Dogmatica more than the actual Assassin monster, so honestly, I might do an updated profile when I get the chance. 1 UA Locker Room, 1 Hinazun Harami, yes, the Link 1 Prank Kids monster. See, eventually I do want to do a discussion video talking about what support should do for a deck in terms of improving it, and I think Meow Meow Moo here is a perfect example of that, and I'll get into that another day. We have the Nerval, the Penguin Brave, the Manager, and the Qinglong. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, looking at all these virtual cards, the deck is extremely cheap for no real reason, and despite that, is just amazingly strong. Every card in the deck is an extender, like that kind of thing is hard to fail. Moving on, we have the Gigabyte, the Eater of Millions, the Mutant Blast, the Gluttonous, the Perfect Sync Aun. Okay, this is part of the thing that makes, I initially thought when I looked at that I wanted to build Dual Avatar, but this also ended up turning out to be the biggest disappointment of Dual Avatar, and I'll get into that later. We have Jack in the Hand, UA Player Manager, Tri-Brigade Shugal, and 1 Lily. Alright, moving on to this side here. Let's see what we get. I'm curious to see the secret. Hopefully maybe a Starlight. We have the Dolphin again, the Fairy Dragon, the Heal Eagle, the GG, the Infernity Doom Archfiend, because I only found out recently this card can pop my own cards, which actually makes Infernity a lot better in terms of field clogging. We have the Cupid Foray, the Tri-Brigade Revolts, the Standoff, the Stain Greaves. Alright, come on. Secret. Show yourself, secret. Alright, we have one Hinazumi Hanabi, we have one Privinets, one Unbreakable Mind, one Grethus, one Nyan Nyan. Okay, did anyone know that Nyan Nyan's effect can actually summon itself off of any level 3? Which I actually thought about playing this in Fan Nights because it just gave the deck synchro options. One Yui Player Manager, one Qinglong, one Shugu, and one Jabbing Panda. Oh, a word on Jabbing Panda actually. This card is just generic Beast Warrior support for Beast Warrior spam. If you control two Beast Warriors, it just special summons itself to the field, which can be really useful for a Beast Warrior eccentric deck. Alright. Moving on from there, what do we have? We have one Heal Eagle, one Oath, one Gigabyte, one Mutant Blast, one Gizmek Makami, the ferocious one. Okay, this is the weird Gizmek card. This is essentially the Brotar of the Gizmek sets, which is really unfortunate because unlike Brotar, this card has weird extension situations where you have to normal summon this card to get to play. We have the one Rugal, the Jabbing Panda, the Penguin Brave, and the Plant Princess Lady. Okay, still haven't hit a secret, which is unfortunate, but let's see where we get out of this. Moving on from there, we have one Arcana Reading, one Raiders Unbreakable Mind, one UA Locker Room, one Dual Avatar Defeating Level, one Chuchi for our Virtual World card. We have the one Rebel Clash, one for 8, Awakening, and Cubed 4. Alright, still no secret. Hopefully there is a secret at least. It'd be sad to end this set without a secret. One GB88, one Arcana Reading, one Dual Compact, one Jaja, one Mutant Mist, the worst of the mutant boss monsters, one Penguin Brave, one Perpetua, one Tri-Brigade, and one free range monsters. This card is also kind of interesting. I thought I'd talk about this. This card essentially just lets you normal summon on your opponent's turn, which in certain situations can actually just be a very powerful effect, especially since it's a normal trap. So if you ever want to turn Trap Trick into a free normal summon on your opponent's turn, there's your way to do it. Alright, we have the Trap card, Dogmaticism, UA Locker Room, Hinazumi Hanabi, and Conductor Nephthys. Okay, this card is one I definitely do want to talk about. Now, on top of Meow Meow Moo, the other archetype to receive support that initially came out in Hidden Summoners was Nephthys with Conductor Nephthys. And this card here actually is extreme doozy. For those who don't know what it does, Conductor Nephthys, when ritual summoned, allows you to special summon one Nephthys ritual monster from your deck, and you can count that as a ritual summon. Furthermore, should this card be tributed by a card effect or destroyed by a card effect, you can, on the following standby phase, destroy one Nephthys monster from your hand, field, and deck each except for a ritual monster. And this card itself is essentially just an upgraded boost for the entire deck. Its first effect, if you've ever seen something like Megalith Full before, is essentially just a more powerful version of that, allowing me to ritual summon a monster from my deck for essentially no cost. And this is extremely powerful because Nephthys actually has a fair amount of decent consistency and boss monsters that can be abused with this effect. Likewise, the effect to actually trigger itself to actually destroy cards from my deck can be extremely useful, but what's important to note is that the conditions to activate it are much more lenient compared to the other Nephthys monsters. While the other Nephthys monsters require itself to be destroyed by a card effect, this one also triggers if it's destroyed, which means that should it be sent as cards for a ritual summon, it will also trigger, something that the original Nephthys support cards didn't do. This essentially makes this card a giant retcon for the deck. So why didn't I do a deck profile on it? Well, it's because Nephthys, despite the support, it's an extremely boring archetype, unfortunately, and it's kind of underwhelming. Despite the fact that Nephthys have some of the most beautiful artworks with things like Cerulean Sacred Phoenix and Devotee of Nephthys, the deck itself is essentially just summon Cerulean Phoenix and beat down. And while this new card here does allow this to do this a lot easier and essentially makes Sacred Flame a lot easier, the deck itself just kind of didn't have any uniqueness outside of just being a giant ritual beatdown deck. And if you guys do like to see a profile of it, I can definitely do it, but I guess the warning here is that you're probably not going to be expecting to see a lot of crazy things come out of it. Alright, let's keep going with our opening again. Now that we've got that out of the way, we're going back into it to see if we can get anything interesting out of this set. Okay, we have one more GG, one more Conjure, one Libro Spiker, one Expansion, one Infernable Captain Oliver, because just Infernables needed more support for their broke plays, one Revolt, one Free Range, one Wildcat, one Suppression. The Inferno support continues again to be one of my decent deck profiles, and for some reason it ends up being just really well liked, and I'm kind of thankful for that. Thank you guys for enjoying that profile, despite the fact that I feel like I'm not warranted on that. We have the one Gargoyle, the GB88, the Banquet, the Dogmaticism, the Joyous Melfi. See, this is an archetype I actually do really want to build. It's just that I haven't found the chance to build the deck properly. Maybe I guess I could build this with Tri-Brigade, but I'm not going to have my hopes up on that one. Revolt, Standoff, Sting Greaves, and Rookie for Hire. Okay, we are more than halfway through the set, and still nothing interesting to know. I'm hoping I get to talk about Dual Avatar again, but we'll see. We have Geonated Traverser, 1 Libro Spiker, 1 UA Man of the Match, 1 Awakening, 1 Virtual Mahime. See, this card actually was $5 before, but now it's like $20, so, not bad. This card essentially is just a searcher for the deck, nothing more than that, but it's also one of those weird cards where it's an extender as well, so I'm pleased for that. 1 Wildcat, 1 Suppression, 1 for 8, and 1 Sting Greaves. Alright, we are nearing the end of this set, so still nothing yet. We have 1 Heal Ego, 1 Oath, 1 Gigabyte, 1 Mutant Blast, and the Raider's Wing, a card that actually is a Phantom Knight card. It's just one that I feel like works better in something like Raid Raptor more than it is in Phantom Knights. 1 Magical Broker, 1 Jabbing Panda, 1 Suppression, and 1 Paranoia. Alright, let's keep going, We're almost done the set, and that's good for recording time, I guess. We have 1 Dual Avatar Defeating Evil, 1 Xyz Import, 1 GB88, 1 Mutant Cry, 1 UA Hyper Stadium, another UA card that shockingly is short print, but actually makes the archetype rather decent to play, 1 for 8, 1 Fan Knight Stingray, 1 Ranryu, and 1 Jack in Hand. Alright, let's keep going. We then have 1 Mutant Cry, 1 UA Man of the Match, 1 Traverser, 1 Expansion, 1 Mutant Beast, the other mutant monster that is actually good, 1 Free Range, 1 Qinglong, 1 Paralysis, and 1 Bonker. Broker. That's good, Bonker. Alright. Moving on from there, we have 1 Banquet of Millions, 1 Mutant Blast, 1 Gluttonous, 1 Arcana Reading, 1 Tri-Brigade Karas, 1 Awakening, 1 Jack in the Hand, Dual Avatar Turn, and Cupid 4. Alright, how many packs left? There is 4 packs left. Oh no. Alright. Oh no, this might end really badly for me. Okay, we have 1 GG, 1 Conjurer, 1 Spiker, 1 Expansion, 1 Dual Avatar Armored Angyo. Okay, this card's interesting, and this might be a good chance to talk about the Dual Avatar archetype. Now, the last archetype I had hoped to build from Phantom Rage was the Dual Avatar archetype, and that's because I looked at the cards and thought that the cards actually did a lot of really good things. You had a card that essentially said summon a bunch of tokens, as many as possible, and then fusion summon twice. You had a quick play spell that said destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field, destroy one of yours. You had a card that essentially let you bring back your cards and copy spells, and honestly, those cards seemed really good, especially since the fusions were also pretty decent as well. However, I think I found through repeated testing that unlike Tri-Brigade, which had consistency but not the mile away, this archetype almost seemed to work against itself in a lot of ways despite the decent cards. One of the unfortunate aspects with Dual Avatar is that a lot of the Dual Avatar cards are seemingly limited in a way that almost takes back any advantage any of the spells and monsters would give it. For example here, Ungyo here and Agyo, the other fusion, require you to control a fusion monster summoned with a Dual Avatar effect monster to sufficiently use their most powerful effects. And this wouldn't be a big deal except for the fact that Invitation here, your fusion spell, only summons a bunch of tokens and allows you to fuse twice. What that means in some cases is that you can activate Invitation and summon 2 of these out, but they won't get their full effects, which means in some cases what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to activate Invitation, summon out one of your fusions, and then fuse it and a token to summon out the other fusion, which honestly in its own self really isn't a very worthwhile play, especially since Invitation requires you to discard a card. This is made worse with the main deck monsters. Dual Avatar Yuhi here allows me to search for a Dual Avatar spell card by blowing up a Dual Avatar monster. See, the problem with that is that in most cases, if you don't have a way of putting up a token, you can only blow up the Yuhi. And what that means in most cases is that you'll have to blow up the Yuhi to access the Invitation, but since you blew up the Yuhi, you no longer have a Dual Avatar effect monster to effectively summon out both of the fusions in a decent way. Shikoku, on the other hand, is also somewhat useful in that it searches a trap. The only problem with him is that most of the time when you summon him using its other effect, you actually just blow himself up and then once again don't leave a dual avatar monster on your field to be used for fusion later. And while the traps it searches are extremely useful, both of them kind of are just a little slow. Compact here allows me to copy for any dual avatar spell and trap, which can be great for copying something like Invitation. The only problem is that Invitation discards as a effect, which means compact copying Invitation still forces me to do a discard, something that I may not be able to fully resolve if I actually don't have a card to discard. And given the fact that this deck seems to enjoy going -1 a lot, it actually is a lot of viable situation where you just don't have a way to resolve compact at all. The final nail in the coffin is their field spell Perfect Sync Aun. When it's activated, you could search for any dual avatar monster, and when you control a dual avatar monster, you can summon out a token. Obviously, the idea with this card is you can activate Aun to search Yuhi, normal summon the Yuhi, spawn a token, pop the token to add the invitation, and then use the invitation to actually summon out your fusion monsters effectively. The problem with this one is for some reason, Aun isn't a dual avatar card, which means there's actually no support inherently in the dual avatar deck that can access it. And Aun is one of the very few ways you can even generate a dual avatar token, which means that in most cases, if you don't open Aun in any way, you essentially are just playing a -1 game until you do. And this all just turns Dual Avatar into an extremely awkward and gimmicky token spam deck for something like Law of the Normal more than its actual playstyle. Most of the cards here just simply don't do enough for how much it costs, and as a result of that, it's almost unfortunate that this deck just can't do more, especially since all the cards are kind of really cool. And it's really unfortunate because in a lot of ways, this deck, I think, out of all the things released in Phantom Rage, has probably the most potential, given that a lot of their playstyles work very similar to Unchained. And hopefully they might make support that actually fixes some of these problems going forward. Moving back, we have our remaining 2 packs, which is unfortunate because we still haven't seen a secret. So either we have the unfortunate case where the secrets don't exist, or these are the last 2 cards which will get both secrets. Oh, I really hope it's the former. I kind of paid something for this. 1 Jaja, 1 Compact, 1 Conjure, 1 Exceeds Import, and 1 Arc Rebellion Siege Dragon. Honestly, this card still is probably one of my favorite monsters. I have a bunch of them now, but hey, at least I have another one. Alright, now, moving on, we have our final pack, which should contain our final secret, hopefully being something, I don't know, like Zeus, because that card's decent. We have 1 Marama the Fair Dragon, 1 Heal Ego, 1 Oath, 1 Conjurer, and 1 Shura-Rig. Okay, this actually might help when I eventually decide to build a Tri-Brigade deck, but yeah, and the rest of the cards are whatever. And yeah, that's going to conclude it for our Phantom Rage box opening. So now with the box open, what do I think of the set in retrospect? Well, I'd say that Phantom Rage did a really good job in pushing up the hype that Rise of the Duelist did. Compared to the Rise of the Duelist, obviously, Phantom Rage put out a lot more decks, and while they are incomplete, I'd say that there's a lot of potential for all these decks to do really well. And going forward, I'd say that in the next few months coming forward, and for going even further beyond that, there's a lot of potential for some of these decks to come out to be competitive in their own way. And that's definitely something I want to look forward to. Regardless though, I think that's it for my Phantom Rage. I'll eventually revisit the set when new support or new sets come out, but for now, look forward to Genesis Impactors next week. Either way, my name is Tony Yang, I hope you enjoyed this box opening, and I will see you guys next time.